Over more than 2 centuries, the American presidency has evolved from a fragile constitutional experiment into one of the most powerful offices on earth. While dozens of men have held the title, historians argue that only a few fundamentally reshaped the nation's direction, and in doing so, redefined what the presidency itself could be. The influence of the American presidency extends far beyond national borders. Because the United States sits at the center of global finance, security, and diplomacy. Decisions made in the White House often shape international markets, military alliances, and responses to global crises. In moments of war, economic shock, or geopolitical uncertainty, the office becomes a focal point, watched closely by allies and rivals alike. Whether advancing shared ideals or pursuing strategic interests, presidential choices frequently signal how power is exercised in the modern world. Based on long-running academic evaluations, most notably the C-SPAN Presidential Historians Survey and the Siena College Presidents Study, this ranking highlights 10 presidents most often placed near the top for crisis leadership, institutional transformation, and lasting national impact. This is not a partisan list. It is an assessment of how deeply each leader reshaped American governance, society, and global influence. 10. Barack Obama, 44th President of the United States, 2009 to 2017. Barack Obama entered office during the most severe economic crisis since the Great Depression. Unemployment approached 10%, major financial institutions were under strain, and public confidence was faltering. His administration stabilized the economy through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, rescued the auto industry, and presided over a prolonged period of job growth. Obama's most significant domestic legacy was the Affordable Care Act, which expanded health insurance coverage to more than 20 million Americans and prohibited denial based on pre-existing conditions. Historians also note his role in advancing LGBTQ rights, including nationwide recognition of same-sex marriage, and a foreign policy that combined diplomatic engagement, such as the Iran nuclear agreement, with the operation that killed Osama bin Laden. 9. Lyndon B. Johnson, 36th President of the United States, 1963 to 1969. Lyndon B. Johnson assumed office following the assassination of John F. Kennedy and used his extraordinary command of Congress to enact some of the most sweeping domestic legislation in American history. Through his Great Society and War on Poverty programs, Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, dismantling legal segregation and restoring voting rights to millions. He also created Medicare and Medicaid, permanently expanding the federal government's role in healthcare. While the Vietnam War severely damaged his presidency, historians continue to rank Johnson among the most consequential leaders for civil rights and social welfare reform. 8. Dwight D. Eisenhower, 34th President of the United States, 1953 to 1961. Dwight D. Eisenhower brought military discipline and strategic caution to Cold War leadership. His administration built the interstate highway system, creating more than 40,000 miles of federal roads that reshaped commerce, national defense, and everyday American life. Eisenhower expanded Social Security, balanced the federal budget multiple times, and enforced school desegregation by deploying federal troops to Little Rock in 1957. Internationally, his restrained approach to nuclear rivalry helped prevent direct conflict during one of the most dangerous periods of the Cold War. 7. Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States, 1801 to 1809. Thomas Jefferson dramatically expanded the nation's future through the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, which doubled U.S. territory and secured long-term continental influence. He also commissioned the Lewis and Clark Expedition and articulated a vision of Republican government grounded in liberty and limited power. Historians, however, continue to confront the contradiction between Jefferson's ideals and his status as a slaveholder, an unresolved tension that shaped the early American Republic. 6. Harry S. Truman, 33rd President of the United States, 1945 to 1953. Harry S. Truman assumed office at the close of World War II and made decisions that defined the post-war world. He authorized the use of atomic weapons against Japan, oversaw Allied victory, and guided the United States into the early Cold War era. Truman launched the Marshall Plan, helped establish NATO, and committed U.S. forces to Korea in defensive containment. Domestically, he ordered the desegregation of the U.S. armed forces. Historians respect Truman for decisive leadership under extreme uncertainty and for shaping America's long-term global role. 5. Theodore Roosevelt, 26th President of the United States, 1901 to 1909. Theodore Roosevelt transformed the presidency into an active instrument of reform. He aggressively enforced antitrust laws, strengthened consumer protections, and expanded federal oversight of industry and railroads. Roosevelt also preserved more than 230 million acres of land through national parks, forests, and monuments, laying the foundation for modern environmental policy. Internationally, his leadership in constructing the Panama Canal and expanding naval power marked America's emergence as a global force. 4. Woodrow Wilson, 28th President of the United States, 1913 to 1921. Woodrow Wilson reshaped both domestic governance and international vision. His administration created the Federal Reserve System and the Federal Trade Commission, modernizing financial regulation and antitrust enforcement. Wilson led the nation into World War I and advanced a new concept of global cooperation through the League of Nations. While his international ideas influenced future institutions, historians increasingly criticize his racial policies and restrictions on civil liberties, making his legacy one of the most debated in presidential history. 3. George Washington, first President of the United States, 1789 to 1797. George Washington defined the presidency at a moment when the survival of the republic was uncertain. He established the cabinet system, strengthened federal authority over national finances, and set the precedent of voluntarily leaving office after 2 terms. Washington kept the young nation out of European wars and oversaw a peaceful transfer of power, proving that Republican government could endure without monarchy or dictatorship. 2. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States, 1933 to 1945. Franklin D. Roosevelt guided the nation through the Great Depression and most of World War II, reshaping the role of government more than any president except Lincoln. His New Deal established Social Security, financial regulation, labor protections, and federal responsibility for economic stability. As a wartime leader, Roosevelt forged the Allied coalition and helped design the post-war international order, including the United Nations. For these reasons, historians consistently rank him among the architects of the modern presidency. 1. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States, 1861 to 1865. Abraham Lincoln led the nation through its greatest internal crisis. He preserved the Union during the Civil War, issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and secured passage of the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery. Lincoln's speeches, especially the Gettysburg Address, redefined the United States as a nation dedicated to equality and democratic ideals. His moral clarity, political skill, and resolve under extraordinary pressure are why historians overwhelmingly place him at the top. Across more than 2 centuries, these 10 presidents stand apart not because they were flawless, but because they used moments of crisis to redefine what the United States is and what it could become. Their decisions continue to shape American life and global history today.